beautiful. I mean, it's a fingerprint magnet, but it is beautiful. All right, so this is let's start. Okay. No, this is the 7 Plus.
And so this one has a more like traditional. I mean, it has a different color, but
yes,
the finish is
but the finish is.
Do you want to do the honors on?
I will do the honors on this one. Okay, so this is such a big phone. I'm really annoyed because I bought the 7 Plus for myself, for my personal phone, and I'm not a big phone person, but I needed this new camera system, and so let's compare the finishes of the two side by side. You can already see, just like Darren was saying, how many fingerprints this is collecting. But this is,
I think, even though a lot of people, I know this one is like already sold out.
This is sold out everywhere. So this jet black phone is sold out everywhere. But yeah, I think I just like the normal finish black. And this is really great because this is like literally, if you have like a camera, if you have any sort of electronic, like this is that sort of black, which we've never seen from Apple on an aluminum product before. Give it a feel.
So, yeah, this is definitely the phone I would get. I'm primarily an Android user, but if I were to go to iOS, this would be something. And yeah, you can definitely see the antenna lines a little bit more.
You can see a little more pronounced here, and it's on the silver, the gold, and the rose gold, they're white, so they don't blend in quite as well as they do obviously with black. But yeah, you can see those antenna lines. You can also see, I mean, one of the big standout features on this one is the dual lens camera system. We didn't even talk about the camera on this one. It's a whole new camera system. It's still a 12 megapixel camera, but it's a brand new sensor. It has an f-stop of 1.8, an aperture of 1.8, so it's 2 full f-stops better than before, so it should be really good in low light.
And it comes with OIS.
Yes, well that was the thing. By getting rid of the headphone jack, they were able to fit more room in for OIS, because that takes up more space. So not only is the battery in this a little bit bigger, so you get more battery life, they have the haptic sensor for the button, but also they're able to put OIS in for the camera, and that's both for photo and video. So that's, if you're somebody who, like me, in the past, the only reason I would have bought the bigger phone would have been for that OIS. Now the smaller one has it. Unfortunately, now the bigger one has this dual camera system, so it's got the exact same 1.8 aperture, 12 megapixel lens, but it also has a second lens that is also 12 megapixel, but it has the aperture is 2.8, but the big thing is that its lens is 56 millimeters. Okay. So Apple's calling it telephoto. Some people might quibble with that, but it's basically giving you a very nice prime lens at the very least in a mobile phone. So the idea is that when you're wanting to take a photo with this, it just you can zoom. You can press 2x on. You can just press a zoom button and zoom in photos and immediately.
And that's on that 2 times zoom is on the hardware level instead of it being digital.
Exactly.
Then after 2 times it is digital.
It is digital. Yes. So at that point you can then go up, but the 2x is completely hardware. And actually, when it takes that shot, this is interesting. When it takes the hardware shot of the 2x, it's going to take kind of when you're zoomed in between 1.5x and 2x, because you can actually filter how much you want the zoom. If you only want like 1.25 zoom, you could do that. But between 1.5 and 2 times zoom, it'll actually snap a photo both with both cameras and fuse them together, so that you make sure that you get all the detail on the edges, because they don't, and if there's any sort of lighting considerations or anything, everything's accounted for.
And to say like 2 lenses on a phone, it's not. LG's done that.
Yes.
A couple other companies.
This implementation, though, is very different.
This implement is very different. Usually and I could be wrong, you can correct me, but I think usually the implementation was just for wide angle.
Yes.
Like it would give you a wide angle and maybe improve zoom. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it might be. And the thing is that you're right. You would usually just maybe, sometimes there were a couple of phones that had a optical zoom, but it was like a physical moving part, and I don't believe that it was a separate lens. And so I think that in this case, what's interesting about it is the 2 lenses are completely synced, and so it's not as instance, and we've seen this with some of the LG phones before, where you have to almost press a button to switch between lenses. In this case, it's literally just pressing a button, to zoom in, and that's it, and that's how it's switching. There are APIs for developers, so apps can take advantage of both lenses, and you can also use the zoom when you're recording video, which is cool.
The camera is also getting an update later for like bokeh effects.
Yeah, bokeh effects. So one of the things, this is going to be a software update. It's not going to be in the finished version, but one of the things, not the shipping version, rather, it'll be later this fall, is that when you are taking a photo with the zoom lens, you can use what's called portrait mode, and what it'll do is it'll basically create a bokeh effect, so that it's using both cameras together and then creating that kind of, you know, that what's the term? Other than bokeh, I guess, kind of like depth of field. Yeah, exactly. It's like depth of field. It's creating depth of field in that sense.
And I know Phil Schiller said during the announcement that they use some form of machine learning to be able to identify that, like, this is the face, this is what we're going to put in the foreground, and all the other information in the background. I'll be interested to try that out. I guess it's coming later, but so this is the first big phone. Apple's finally convinced you.
Yeah.
After 2 years of trying.
After 2 years of trying.
What are your? So you're holding it now. Are you still worried about it?
Yes.
Yeah?
I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna absolutely hate it.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm gonna love the camera. So it's one of those trade-offs. I'm gonna love the camera, but I'm gonna absolutely hate using this giant phone. Like, you can tell, like, you've got decent-sized hands.
Yeah, I mean, I was, before it was exploding all over the place. I was using a Note 7, and
this is a little larger, though, even though it's got a smaller screen.
Well, it's because, you know, one reason
the bezel.
for getting rid of the home
button,
is the twin bezels for. But I mean, it's big, but I was using the 6S Plus, and I don't know. I really like this phone for media consumption, and it's supposed to be even better because it has stereo now. Right?
Yeah, it has stereo, and so does this one. They both have stereo speakers, so there's a big stereo speaker up here and down there. And yeah, you're right. For media consumption, this is going to be great. I think the better battery life I'm going to appreciate. I'm just not looking forward to how my pockets, you know, or my purse. Like, it's going to be annoying. So same thing on this one with the EarPods, the exact same configuration. But yeah, no, I mean,
it's really weird there not being a headphone jack.
It is. No, you're dead on. It is so weird that there's no headphone jack. And although everything else about this phone feels the same, you know, one interesting thing, I was trying to look on this one. Yeah, you can, if you just so faintly look, you can see that antenna line on the edge. But other than that, it is just.
But strangely enough, I still feel like
this is great. Honestly, I think for a lot of people, I think this black is going to be the color, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because this will match your other electronics. This is the black they've wanted. This is beautiful, and like, this is a great statement piece. But we've had this out for 10 minutes, and it's got fingerprints all over it, just literally from it just talking.
It also reminds me of like a very much cheaper phone, but the OnePlus X had this same kind of like. I also think they had a ceramic version.
I think they did, which was,
and it had this same kind of, and I had the same problem with that. I think I have mentioned in reviews, it's like fingerprints everywhere and micro abrasions and things like that. So, very cool phone, but I just can't see many people buying it and then not putting a case on it. So
yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be interesting. John Gruber had an interesting point. He said he wonders how it's going to wear. He thinks it'll wear really well, because I didn't have a case on my black iPhone 5, so before they moved to the space gray 5S. Well, I had a gold 5S, but my 5 was the black, and people kind of in the Apple community called it like the Millennium Falcon phone, because it would get like dings and edges. And honestly, mine, even without a case, stayed looking pretty good. But I do think, and Kinja Deals actually had a post on it yesterday, there's going to be a big market, I think, for the clear cases.
Clear cases.
So I think that's the thing. Yeah, you probably are going to want to put a case on it, but you're going to want to get that clear case, because if you spend. You can't even get these right now. These are completely sold out. They're back ordered until November. If you can't get this thing, you know, for a couple of months,